Greetings, we hope you're all doing well. Today, we have an interview with a past client that's long overdue. We have Valentin Pawlik, the owner and operator of Four Rivers Floating Eco Lodge in Cambodia. And as a special bonus, we have Paul Zway, the owner and CEO of Exclusive Tents, who's making his debut here on the channel. Today, we're gonna have a casual conversation on how Paul and Valentin worked together to create this unique resort. Let's get into it. Okay. Hey, so good morning, guys. We got Paul there in the jungle. Good morning to you, and good evening to you, Valentin. How are you guys doing?
Good evening, guys. After a long day in Cambodia, we just started the lockdown after, almost 1 year without any serious COVID problems. Now we are in lockdown, so yeah.
No, that's crazy. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good. I could be better, but if I would have been with you now.
Yeah, it would be good if we were all together.
Yes.
Yeah, especially at Tai Tai at Four Rivers.
Yeah, it's we had nobody since almost 1 month. We had all bookings canceled. It's wow. But that's life. What we can do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. So I appreciate you taking the time and coming out here with us today to join us for just a little fireside chat type of interview with you. I was thinking, instead of just, firing questions back and forth, we just have kind of a casual conversation, share some stories, talk about Four Rivers, talk about you and your project, and just the whole thing all around. And kind of the first more serious question that I have for you, Valentin, and it's kind of the big elephant in the room, and if we can just maybe address it right away, is a few companies out there kind of take credit for Four Rivers, and they use their pictures and their promotions and everything. But what company did you work with, and who did you order your tents from?
I'm getting my tents from Exclusive Tents, from Paul. Actually, for me, Paul is Exclusive Tents more than everything else, and we've got this great relationship since the beginning. I think we became friends on the first phone call. It was such a great relationship. So yeah, Exclusive Tents. Of course, we've looked around before, and then our choice was Exclusive Tents, and since 12 years we didn't regret it. Paul came over. He flew in. He helped us set up the first tents. We drank some beers, and a beautiful relationship.
Never looked back.
The rest was history. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, Valentin, there've been a lot of companies that have taken credit for Four Rivers, and I guess that's sort of complimentary to you that you've done such a great job. But even recently, I was looking on a website from a company in China, and they were also claiming Four Rivers as a project of theirs. And I actually wrote to them, and they were actually kind enough, and they removed it by the next day. But it seems like you made such a stunning project that everybody wants to claim it's theirs.
Listen, I'm happy to hear it. I wasn't really aware that this is happening so much. I think when a tent producer might say that the tent is coming from there, I could understand somehow, if they are not getting caught, that they might claim that. But to say that Four Rivers is their project, I wasn't aware of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, like Paul said, it is a compliment.
Yeah, it's a compliment. Yeah. We even have a Four Rivers hotel in Phnom Penh, which is not ours, and I have no connection with them. So, but it's a simple hotel in Phnom Penh, and they almost used my logo. So it's in Cambodia. So yeah, it's nice to be copied. I suppose it's not for me. It's not a big problem because we are not. I mean, yeah. I take it more as a compliment. Yes.
Yeah, we have a saying on this side that's copying is like the sincerest form of flattery. So
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you got to say. But I do remember setting up your tents. We were there with Angelica for 2 weeks, and it rained all 2 weeks. And every time you couldn't find some workers, you just had to look up, and they were there up on top of the frames running around. And I remember it very well. And actually, I also remember how those first platforms that you built over there were very flexible and very difficult to work on. But now you're also doing floating concrete. You've actually specialized and refined the art of making floating concrete, which is now the base for the new Four Rivers floating tents, correct?
Yes, after we had some problems in 2018 with the floods. We had to rebuild most of our platforms, our floating base, and I learned how to build myself floating concrete platforms. It was an old dream of mine to have some maintenance-free and very heavy platforms, which are not moving when you walk on them. So they are much more serious, much more heavier, much more solid. And in 2018, when we had those floods, I considered it as an opportunity to rebuild the hotel. And yeah, now I'm starting to sell concrete floating platforms in Phnom Penh for residential homes. So that was a good opportunity for us, as I said. Yeah.
Awesome. That is unique. So you guys have traveled together as well. I think Paul, a few years ago, you went out to Romania to actually meet up with Valentin. And like you just shared your story of going out there to Cambodia. Could you both share like a funny story that you've had with each other, or an adventure you guys went on together? Maybe start with you, Paul.
Me, I don't know. I went with Valentin. I was in Hungary and then flew over to Valentin's hometown in Romania, and he took me to the salt mines, which is quite something like I'd never seen before. But I think the most stunning memory was going up into the Carpathian Mountains with him and a bunch of his friends to a little cabin up there, and we took an old carpet, and to make it more comfortable, we ran the carpet down to the creek, and the creek was so cold that all the beer was in the creek. So we spent most of our time at the creek, and evenings were very cold. That his friend had a little fireplace with a little roof, a tiled roof over it, and I got so cold one morning I built a fire that almost burnt down the whole fireplace. But it was a good time. Maybe Valentin remembers other things, but I do know we drank a lot of beer together.
Yeah, that carpet was a nice addition to the creek. We took out the carpet it was an old carpet that was in the room, and we put it down on the banks of the creek, and then it stayed there. It's still there since 2 years. It went through the winters. It was frozen. It was in the summer. It's still there, and my friend is telling me he doesn't want to take it off. It's a nice addition.
It was a good improvement. I remember seeing the picture there. He showed a picture of like a fireplace with these burn marks on it, and I said, "Was this from you?" And he said, "I think it may have been."
Yeah, it was. Wow.
So Valentin, you created Four Rivers over there, and was that your first development that you did in the hospitality industry, creating a hotel, or did you work on previous projects in the past as well?
Actually, I came to Cambodia in 2004 to run a cruise company. It was a river cruise company. When I say cruise company, you know, it was a 10-cabin small ship. It's not the sea cruise thing. So I came here. A friend of mine trusted me to run his company. I told him, listen, I was never working in tourism. I never see a boat before. I've never been in India. Do you really think I can run that company? And he said, yeah, man, just go. So I said, if he's trusting me, I should, you know, refuse his trust. So I just came for 2 years. I told him I'm here for 2 years, and I'm going back to Europe, and now it's almost 20 years. So that was my first job in tourism. I ran that company for 5 years. I built 3 cruise ships, small river cruise ships for them, 20 cabins. And then when time came, I decided to do something on my own, and that was 4 Rivers. I found my partner to do that, and yeah, that was 4 Rivers.
Awesome. And when you were developing it, and maybe Paul, you remember from when Valentin reached out to you in the beginning and started the conversations, was the floating platforms, like you touched on before, part of the vision in the beginning, or was that something you developed afterwards when you started looking into everything?
It was supposed to be floating. I was inspired by the floating villages I saw during our cruises on the Mekong. And I was telling myself, there should be more floating accommodations in Cambodia. Cambodia is a country full of water. It's very, very abundant waterways, and I was telling myself we should promote more the water accommodations and the contact with nature. And yes, the first idea was to do something floating.
Interesting.
I also remember, Brian, that when Valentin contacted me, his vision was already there for the floating concept. And in fact, after we had our first conversations, it was like we saw to eye. I understood what he wanted to do. He explained everything, and it was actually probably one of the easiest transactions I've ever done. You know, from the day Valentin called me until he finally, you know, placed his order, it couldn't have been longer than a week. I don't know if you remember it, Valentin, but it was within a week that we'd figured out what you wanted and you'd already placed an order.
Yeah, I remember that, and I will tell you why. Because so the first idea was to do floating bungalows like everybody is doing, you know, the wooden thing, the shack on the water, and so. And then I promised my partner, the investor, I promised 9 months of building time. And then after 4 months, I realized, man, you're crazy. How can you do that? So my sister, who was helping me with the interior design, one day she's next to me on her screen, and she says, wow. And I said, what? Come, you have to see this. And then she's showing me your tents. And I said, we have to do this. It's so much shorter time. It's bam, bam. You know, it just blew my mind. Why do we need to build something when it's already something beautiful in hand? You know, it's why for me, it was obvious from that second that we have to switch on the tent and we have to do this. So for me, it was obvious. Then it was the choice of who you want to do it with. And then I was talking to you, and that was the easy job.
I remember it very well.
Yeah, so you definitely watched glamping grow then, because in the beginning, when you first came to us and started talking about your project with Paul, you know, putting tents up or glamping, it was a very foreign topic. Nobody knew what it was. Now it's kind of a hot topic that a lot of people talk about or want to get into. Do you have any predictions for the future? Like, is it the way, like in Cambodia, is it something that's going to grow and evolve? And if not Cambodia, the world too.
Now, after my project, after Four Rivers, we had several glamping. Actually, yeah, the word glamping, as you said, it was Paul that taught me that word. So I had no idea about what is glamping. So he told me, you know, you should put glamping on your website because that's the new word. I said, okay, Paul, thank you. and I think yeah, we were seeing many other developments in Cambodia, and glamping is becoming a bigger thing here also in Cambodia. My predictions are that this can only go up because there's no other way to be closer to nature. It's the most safe and most beautiful way to hear the birds, to be in the jungle, in the nature, even more when you're floating. So it can only go up. I think this is what we want. This is what everybody will want after the COVID.
Yep, I agree.
To go to Amsterdam to smoke some pot in the red quarter. No, I think you want to go out in the nature. You want to go out. You want to feel safe. You want to hear some birds.
Yeah,
no, I agree with you. I think people just want to reconnect with nature, rediscover themselves, get away from being confined to tight places. And I think being out there glamping is the way that it's going to be for quite some time. And even though glamping, the type of accommodation is changing dramatically from traditional glamping accommodations, I think the tents are there to stay as well.
I do think so.
I'd agree with that.
It's on top of this is romantic. Is you know, these things are never outdated. So being romantic, being in the nature, being you know, yeah, in harmony with your partner and with nature. These things will never be outdated. So, and the tents are the best way to experience them.
It's timeless.
Yes.
So in your experience over the last several years that you've been operating and owning, being a part of the glamping industry, do you have any advice that you would give to somebody that's wanting to start a project of their own or get into it?
Oh yeah, choose your tent supplier wisely. Because, and I'm telling you why. Because I know how much maintenance a tent needs, how much attention a tent needs. I know that if you have a bad tent, that you will just regret your choice very quickly. And if you have a good tent, then you will be so happy to have a good tent. Yes.
Just think that since we did your tents, how incredibly much we've improved and improved our quality, our design. It's so much stronger. You know, since we started with you on Four Rivers, we've evolved tremendously, and which I'm very, very, proud of. I'm proud of, my partner in South Africa and all of us, because we've all played a big role in improving our structures and stuff like that. To be better in wind and in snow and all the different extreme climates.
I've seen some nice things when you sent me those tent roofs when we got hit by the floods. I've seen new materials. I've seen that it's different and it's improved, and I am sure that I will see your new structures as soon as this COVID is done, because I'm gonna need a new restaurant. So I think, yeah, we will.
We'll be there for you. Always have
continue together. Yes.
Perfect. Great. So, is there anything else you guys would like to share about anything today?
Well, I don't know about Valentin. All I want to do is, thank him and his family, for developing such a unique project that it's still unique today. And with this on-water concept, it's still young, but I think that Valentin has started something that will expand in time, particularly when one gets to figure out how amazingly stable the concrete floating platforms are. And I'm working with a few clients that may be bringing Valentin in to do the construction of such like platforms for their tents in different parts of the world. That's the sort of the last thing I wanted to bring in.
And I really, truly hope to do that with you, Paul, because I think it's the good marriage. The water, the stable pontoons, and the tents. For me, that's the perfect combination. So,
yeah, it's a winner.
Yeah. So I hope we will do that together.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Valentin. Appreciate your time, my brother, and give love to the family over there.
Yeah, and thank you as well for joining me today, Valentin and Paul. And Valentin, it's good to finally meet you and have a chat with you. I've heard about you for many years.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for this.
Yeah, you're welcome. Have a good day over there, you guys. Or good evening, Valentin.
Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
We hope you found that video interesting. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. We have other videos lined up, so we'll catch you in the next one.